On this week's Case of the Mondays, we talk about 16-year-olds' driver's licenses and what type of insurance you need. All right, guys, this is for all the parents out there. If you don't have any kids yet, well, eventually you will. So this week we want to talk about teenage drivers, driver's licenses, and the type of insurance that you'll need to properly protect your teenage driver. Now, a lot of this is a deeply personal decision depending on what your comfort level is. But we're going to use the age of 16, which is the average age that most kids get their driver's license. It's incredibly important that you make a decision early on about what you're going to do in titling your teenagers' cars. Is the car going to be titled under their name solely, or are you going to be titling the car under your name and insuring them under a household policy? So we've kind of got two things we're going to talk about. First, let's talk about titling the car in the teenager's name. If you do that, you will need to get a separate policy of insurance for them. This can be very, very helpful if you're worried about your teenager getting into an automobile accident and protecting your assets. Now, remember that teenager still is going to have to list all the other drivers in the household, but may exclude those drivers. On the flip side, you may want to title the automobile in your name, or if your teenager is not getting their own car, which is very likely, they may still be having a driver's license and having access to your car. It's incredibly important that when your teenager becomes of legal driving age, whether they have a license or not, that you amend your insurance application. For most policies, they require for you to list anybody over the age of 15, whether they have a driver's license or not, that lives in the household. This is for the obvious reason that they will have access to your automobile. Now, I know you're saying that your kid would never go and grab the keys, but I want you to think back to when you were a teenager and see how well that worked out. Now, let's assume that your teenager has gone to driving school and passed and gotten their driver's license on the first test. You're going to allow them some access to your car. Like I said, you're going to have to list them as a driver, as a household member. It's important to look at your insurance policy to make sure that you have enough liability coverage. Look, the statistics are very, very clear that teenage drivers and first-time drivers have a much higher rate of getting involved in automobile accidents. So with a teenage driver, it's incredibly important from an asset protection that you have more than enough insurance. Again, this is a deeply personal decision that you need to see how much insurance you can afford. But I highly recommend that you get as much liability coverage as you can afford, and also look at adding collision and comprehensive onto your policy. This will ensure if your teenager goes ahead and hits the gas instead of the brake and drives in through the front of your garage door, that the damage will be taken care of both to your house and your car. Another thing that we always talk about the importance of is and it's no different here for your teenage driver. Make sure that if you can afford it, that you get equal to your liability limits. For example, if you have $25.50 in liability, make sure you get $25.50 in uninsured motorist coverage. And as always, as you're ready to take this journey, we're here for you every step of the way. Give me a call at 833-MIKE 24/7, and I can discuss your personal matters and insurance needs and steer you in the right direction. We're always looking out for you before, during, and after any accident.